Back a few weeks ago, I received candy for Christmas. I had two different types of candies. One was Reese's, and the other one was Kit Kat. I look at the back of these, both of them say that they are made by Hershey. But it got me thinking. I've been to Hershey Park a few times, and I see Reese's all over the place, but I never see Kit Kat. Now, Kit Kat's one of my favorite candies, but obviously that's not enough to justify its popularity. If you go and look at the stats, Kit Kat is actually in the top 5 brands that Hershey produces in the United States. And although Reese's is obviously significantly more popular than it, still doesn't really make sense why candies like York Peppermint Patties, which literally taste like urinal cakes, and something like Jolly Rancher are getting featured more than this candy, which is immensely popular. Now, what I mean by featured is basically, is your branding on rides? Is it on stores? Do you have a walk-around character? Kit Kat has none of these things. York and Jolly Rancher are all over the place, and yet Kit Kat, the most you can find it in Hershey Park is just in a little stand within stores. That's it. It's not featured prominently anywhere else. It has no sort of permanent structure in Hershey Park itself. And I did a deep dive trying to figure out why this is. Why did Hershey Park decide to basically shun Kit Kat and make it its black sheep of the park? And folks, I'm happy to tell you that I found the answer. But in order to find that,
we have to go back in time.
That is all the way back to 1911, where the Kit Kat brand as we know it was founded by Rowntree's, which was a confectionery company based in York, England. Yeah, York. Coincidence? Maybe, probably, yeah. But basically, Rowntree's brought this candy brand up from the bottom through the top. It became immensely popular in the UK, and they decided in the 1940s to start distributing it around the globe in different countries. They started off with Canada, South Africa, Ireland, Australia, and New Zealand. It wasn't until the 1970s, however, that they decided they wanted to go to the United States. However, Rowntree's, although a somewhat successful company at that point, they still didn't really have that much money since they basically were operating on one candy bar brand that was immensely popular. The rest they had were, well, not very popular. So then they went to the United States. They didn't really have the money or the capital to build their own warehouses or fund their own distribution network, so they had to go to one of the big players there to go help them out, and that player ended up being Hershey. They gave Hershey the United States distribution rights for Kit Kat. Now, because Hershey had so much power in this agreement, they were able to get the deal in perpetuity, essentially meaning that so long as Hershey continued to distribute and sell Kit Kat in the United States, they would hold on to these rights. So, when Rowntree's was inevitably bought out in 1988 by the giant that is Nestle, Hershey was able to retain the rights to Kit Kat in the United States, whereas Nestle would pretty much get them around the rest of the globe. Oh, so that's it. Hershey just doesn't own Kit Kat itself, they just own the distribution rights, so they don't feature it prominently throughout the park. Well, no, if it was that simple, then Hershey would have nothing to worry about, because, I mean, unless the company literally died, why would they stop producing Kit Kat, right? They basically own it at that point, at least in the United States, so why would they have any reason to not build any permanent structures for Kit Kat in the park if they knew they were going to keep it? That's the thing though, folks. There was one other clause in the deal, and that became pretty relevant in around 2002. You see, in 2002, Hershey was not doing so well. In fact, they were on the verge of going bankrupt, and they were looking for buyers. However, a key factor in these negotiations was that, well, Kit Kat wasn't owned by them. And here's the thing, in that deal that they made with Rowntree's, there was one other clause, and that was that they would lose the distribution rights in the United States for Kit Kat if they were bought out. And since Kit Kat is a top 5 brand for Hershey, when people went to go and negotiate a buyout for Hershey, that obviously significantly dropped the value of the company, knowing that, well, we're not going to get Kit Kat if we go through this deal. Funny enough, one of the more realistic buyers would have been Nestle, because Nestle is a huge giant that obviously has the capital to acquire a company like Hershey and would have loved to have in their portfolio. However, unlike other companies who already had dropped their value of Hershey because of no Kit Kat, since Nestle would get the rights to Kit Kat for free if Hershey sold to another company, the value for them of Hershey was significantly less than any other company. So when Hershey and Nestle did actually meet about an asking price, Nestle said no. Now, luckily for Hershey, they managed to survive through 2002 without needing a buyer or going bankrupt, and they are still around today. And you may argue, well, maybe Nestle kind of messed up there. Maybe they should have paid the price that Hershey was asking for, because not only would they have Kit Kat right now, but they would also have the rest of the Hershey brand.
You can't repeat the past.
Why, of course you can. Of course you can.
And what has happened, and Hershey's still around, and they still have the US distribution rights for Kit Kat. So what's the big deal? Hershey survived bankruptcy. They survived a buyout. They're still their own company, and they're still kicking and screaming. Why don't they have Kit Kat featured in the park? Well, it's very simple, folks. They know, the people who operate Hershey Park underneath Hershey know that there could come a day where Hershey is in another tough spot like they were in 2002, where they are on the brink of selling the company. And if that happens, they will no longer own Kit Kat, which will essentially mean that every piece of Kit Kat branding, permanent or not, will have to go from the parks. And I'll tell you right now that if you put your branding on a ride, on a store, on a walk-around character, all that money is going to be for naught. Not only will some of these things cost you money to literally get rid of, but some of them will just basically be for nothing. It will go away. That money will be wasted. Why not spend your money on a walk-around character on York, a brand that you know will never ever leave your possession because it's so trash that nobody will want to buy it, when you have Kit Kat, though being extremely popular, could go away like that. And that's it, folks. Kit Kat, it's not that Hershey hates them, it's that they're scared of them. They really are scared of them. Because if Hershey ever goes into trouble and has to sell, Kit Kat is gone. I mean, to a certain extent, Kit Kat is basically like a YouTube commenter when a YouTuber makes a brand deal, or they call him a sellout, and then they unsubscribe and they leave forever. Kind of like that, right? Well, today's video is sponsored by... No, I'm kidding, guys. Guys, I haven't posted in like 5 months. I'm not getting sponsored, dude. I'm not getting sponsored. Anyways, I'll see you guys next time. When that next time is going to be, I can't guarantee anything. Don't look at me. Don't look at me like that. Don't. I'll see you all guys next time. It's been an honor. Let me know what your thoughts on all this are in the comments, and why you think York peppermint tatties are terrible. Thanks. Goodbye.